Welcome all. For this case study, I'll be looking at the 2017 bankruptcy of Toys R Us, specifically how the bankruptcy law concepts from the textbook played out in a real world corporate collapse. So, first, a little background. Toys R Us was founded in 1948 and at its peak was enormous with over 1,500 stores worldwide and $11 billion in annual revenue. Joffrey the giraffe, the store symbol, was a household name, and for decades, if you wanted a toy, this was the place to get it. But in September of 2017, the company filed a voluntary petition for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, listing over $5 billion in debt. To understand how an iconic brand collapses that badly, we need to look at what went wrong. So let's look at a combination of the internal and external factors that caused the bankruptcy. Internally, the biggest problem was a 2005 leveraged buyout by three private equity firms, KKR, Bain Capital, and Bernardo Realty. The deal loaded the company with $5.2 billion in debt. And from that point forward, the company was spending roughly $400 million every single year just on interest payments. And that's money that never went toward innovation or any digital strategy. They also made a critical blunder in the early 2000s when they outsourced their e-commerce operation to Amazon. So rather than building their own digital presence, they handed it to their biggest future competitor. Externally, Amazon, Walmart, and Target were undercutting prices online while brick and mortar foot traffic was falling across the whole industry. Mobile gaming was also pulling kids away from traditional toys. So essentially, Toys R Us was caught in the debt trap just as the retail world transformed around them. Now, the legal context. The bankruptcy code has two main goals, stated in Section 3118. Give the debtor a fresh start, free from creditor claims, and ensure equitable treatment of competing creditors. Toys R Us filed under Chapter 11 reorganization bankruptcy, not Chapter 7, which would have meant immediate liquidation. The key difference is that the Chapter 11 lets a company keep operating while it restructures. The textbook explains several key mechanisms. There's the automatic stay under Section 312C, which instantly halts all creditor collection actions. The debtor in possession concept under 313C, which lets management keep running the business. The creditors committee under 313D, giving unsecured creditors a voice. And the reorganization plan under 313E, which requires two-thirds creditor approval by value to be confirmed. So who did the law protect in this case? The moment Toys R Us filed this petition, the automatic stay kicked in and froze $5.2 billion in creditor actions. No lawsuits, no repossessions, nothing. Under debtor in possession status, management kept running approximately 880 stores nationwide without a trustee taking over. For employees, about 33,000 in the US, the stay bought a little bit of time. Stores stayed open temporarily rather than just shutting down immediately. For creditors, the law provided structure. Secured creditors like banks got adequate protection under 312C. Unsecured creditors, such as suppliers, for example, organized into a creditors committee to negotiate their share. But it's important to note that the protection was only temporary. The reorganization plan ultimately ended up failing. Creditors rejected it, and the case converted to a Chapter 7 liquidation in March 2018. All U.S. stores closed, all employees were laid off, and assets were sold to repay secured creditors first. Chapter 11 essentially protected the process, but it couldn't save the company. So the numbers here can tell a pretty clear story. $5.2 billion in total debt, $400 million in annual interest, a 50% loss in U.S. market share between 2010 and 2017, and a $29 million net loss in 2016. Chapter 29 of our textbook frames this perfectly. When a debtor can no longer pay obligations as they come due, creditors have legal rights to collect, and Toys R Us had reached exactly this point. So, what could the company have done differently, and what can others learn from them? First, building your own digital infrastructure would be crucial. Outsourcing e commerce to Amazon was a strategic disaster. Secondly, avoid unsustainable debt. As Chapter 29 makes clear, secure creditors have first legal claim on assets, which means debt obligations will always take priority over investment and innovation. So third, you can create an in-store experience that can't be replicated online. Companies like Lego and Disney were able to do it while a company like Toys R Us wasn't. And fourth, and this is a textbook connection from Section 313A, the company should have pursued a workout agreement much earlier. It's a private debt restructuring negotiated directly with creditors without court involvement. It's faster, it's cheaper, and doesn't destroy your brand. And if they had restructured proactively, formal bankruptcy might not have ever been necessary. And so that's my case analysis. Thank you.